What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're going to jump in and talk about some Destiny 2 stuff. So we are going to touch on future content in Joker's Wild. We've got some statements from Bungie about Gambit and the focus on that mode during the next season, so we'll round up all of that stuff. Bungie are also taking feedback and preparing the next content update, so we'll touch on that, but we do have news about Vicarious Visions. Of course, the studio that's been working alongside Bungie and Activision to produce quite a bit of content for the game. But on top of this, we'll talk about content and changes in the game this week, a few secrets that seem to be eluding us in the game, and future changes and fixes coming down the road in updates very soon. So guys, as always, I hope you enjoyed this video, but now let's jump straight into it. So the first thing we're going to touch on would be Joker's Wild and Season 6 and some of the content that we can expect to see. Of course, we know that this will be Season of the Drifter. Immediately, we know that there is going to be a new Gambit experience, so this is going to be one of the core elements of Joker's Wild. And so, because not everybody absolutely loves Gambit, there is a little bit of concern over the content that we're going to get in just a few weeks. However, Cosmo did come in and clarify. So what he said is that he's not going to reveal anything today, but I will say that while Season of the Drifter is themed around that shady character who introduced you to Gambit, he will be asking you to do more than just play Gambit next season. However, on the subject of Joker's Wild, Justin Truman from Bungie did describe Joker's Wild as featuring new Pinnacle Gambit activities, so there will nonetheless be a heavier Gambit focus. So let me know your thoughts about that. We will touch more on future content shortly, but Bungie have begun to preview Joker's Wild and possibly other seasonal content in the studio. So you'll probably remember the community summit that happened last year. Bungie got a whole bunch of different creators and members of the community to jump in, preview some of what was coming up in the game, and give feedback. And Bungie have since held much smaller preview and feedback events with streamers and community members. So they did this for Black Armory, and now it seems to be happening again for the next round of content. And some of you guys may know some of your favorite creators who are going to be previewing probably Season 6 stuff this week. So Bungie are absolutely getting ready for the next big launch, but they're also looking for community feedback on Gambit. So Cosmo posted a new thread to Destiny the game on Reddit, essentially asking for any and all feedback on the mode itself, but they're not focusing as much on the sandbox side of things and weapons. Primarily, they do want to focus more on mechanics, and I know there are lots of different opinions about invader potency, match length, matchmaking, solo queuing, or other mechanics, so if you do have an opinion about Gambit, then definitely take the opportunity to give some feedback. And I'm going to link this one down below because alongside the demos they're running in-house, this is definitely going to be relevant to next season and future changes that we'll get. So it is a pretty good opportunity to give some feedback and thoughts about the mode. But on the subject of Joker's Wild and Season 6, we should note that we know for sure we will be getting a power level increase to 700 power, so we'll see basically the same system right there. But for any folks who love to prep for power leveling in future seasons, DMG did recently say that the team are looking into some of the systems and addressing whether things like carrying powerful iron banner bounties over to new seasons, as well as some of the other stuff that you can actually hold on to and save. They're discussing whether that should be allowed, so do bear in mind there could be a few changes to that as we go into Season 6, which is only a few weeks away at this point. However, though, outside of Gambit, we know that there will be new explorable spaces in some capacity. Bungie have said that we'll learn more of the Drifter story and visit new spaces that'll help to deliver this story. Chris Barrett also suggested that we'll learn more about the Drifter's ship and that crazy huge junk ball looking thing that it drags in tow. So that's definitely going to be pretty interesting. And a quick look at the roadmap tells us that we get new Gambit maps, a new Gambit experience, but also seasonal exotic quests, a spring event, and then weekly quests, exotics, as well as Xur bounties and other new gear for Joker's Wild itself. If you're wondering about timelines, Season of the Forge was originally listed as running until March 4th. On top of this, Bungie revealed that update 2.2.0 will be the major season boundary update, so that'll be coming in March, although we'll have to wait for more details on the update itself. So for the moment, that's pretty much where we stand on Joker's Wild and Season 6, but now let's break down some other pretty big news for the Destiny franchise. So of course, there's been quite a lot of stuff going on between Bungie and Activision recently, and I did make a video roundup of the effects of the partnership split that you may have heard about. On top of this though, we did discuss the likelihood that Bungie could lose some of their external dev teams, and according to Albany Business Review, Vicarious Visions are officially being reassigned to other projects following the deal being cut between Activision and Bungie. So basically, Vicarious Visions will no longer produce Destiny content, and this, from our external understanding, isn't an entirely trivial thing. In fact, Vicarious Visions produced the PC version of D2, they've built a lot of assets for the game in general, but also worked very closely on Warmind, Forsaken, and the annual pass content as we discussed in that recent video. I'll link that one down below if you want to check it out. But the fact that VV won't be working on Destiny 2 is only going to increase the amount of pressure on Bungie as they figure out what comes next. So I just wanted to give you guys that bit of new information. Pretty intriguing times, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it down below. Now though, let's talk about some stuff going on in the game this week. First thing to mention would be that matchmaking settings in competitive Crucible have been updated to attempt to match players closer in Glory rank. Players may experience longer matchmaking times according to Bungie, and there is also a forum thread I'll link below where you can give feedback on your experiences with this. So if you are partial to jumping into competitive, or maybe you found the matchmaking experience previously has not been the best, then it may be good to jump back in. I personally haven't had chance just yet. I've seen a few mixed reports, some very slow matchmaking times in some instances, but this should be a general improvement for the gameplay itself, so let us know your experiences with that down below. Also though, with Iron Banner being here this week, you may have noticed some new packages at Eververse, and we now have ghost projections for Iron Banner. So there is the Young Wolf, as well as the banner itself, and then we've got the Battle Axe projection, and like some of the other microtransactions we've seen for Iron Banner, these can actually be purchased for 1100 silver. Not personally something that I'd be going for, but let me know down below. I think they're kind of curious looking things, but there will definitely be mixed opinions with this kind of stuff in the store, as there always is, understandably. Now though, let's speak a little bit about the content cycle in the game, and some of the more mysterious and secretive stuff. So of course, this week in Dreaming City, the curse cycle continues, and spoiler alert, from our ghost we hear a rather defeated message once again.
The curse has begun again. This will be the 7th try for the Guardians. I don't see how this time around will be any different. We throw ourselves at this thing again and again, and it never changes. How can anyone here go on when there's no guarantee they'll see the future they're fighting for?
Obviously, in contrast to the last couple of weeks where the Ghost and the Queen have been arguing, it does leave us wondering what'll happen next time Marasov is present. I believe January 29th will be Marasov's 7th visit, so considering this is linked to triumphs, some folks do think that this could be significant, but there are of course other mysteries as well, such as Wish 15. This one clearly isn't quite ready to be found yet, and there are some missing elements when we discuss Last Wish. Firstly, in this trailer right here, we see a Guardian on the bridge into the palace. This has never actually happened in game, you cannot access that bridge. So, were Bungie just pulling our leg and making this look even more dope than it is? Or are we actually going to get access to the bridge at some point? It certainly seems like it's possible, but there are also some Last Wish keys which have been made visible this season. These were classified during the last season when Forsaken came out, but are no longer classified, so could these potentially drop in the game? And could it indeed all be linked to the final wish? Well, maybe that'll be the case. Either way, it makes for a somewhat compelling story. I'd love to hear your speculation about Dreaming City in general, Prince Aldrin, the curse, and the end of the curse, which as far as we know is going to happen at some point. I'd love to hear your thoughts or speculation about that stuff down below. Of course though, when it comes to Black Armory, as far as we know, we've seen basically everything in the game. Of course, that is with the exception of the Last Word, which is coming in a couple of weeks, but there are some other curious things. One would include the scannable beneath the broken Volunda bridge. This ghost can clearly indicate that there is a scan item, yet we're unable to actually drop down and make the scan. So do you guys think there is a way to do this? Or do you think that Bungie could once again be pulling our leg with this one? I'd certainly be curious to hear your thoughts. To date, there hasn't been any data mined information that might suggest what this scannable could be, so let us know whether you think it's even a thing down in the comment section. Now though, let's get into some quickfire updates and feedback from Bungie. So firstly, they say they're investigating reports regarding Radiant Matrix pursuit items being lost from players' Postmaster. They also say players can expect an update on this issue in this week's player support report. Of course, the Radiant Matrix is the item you get when you've collected all of the Radiant Seeds for a weapon frame, so do bear in mind if it goes to the Postmaster, it could actually be lost right now. On the subject of the Izanagi's Burden quest, the mysterious box, DMG did say is still passing along feedback about this quest. We don't know if anything will be done for this one, but the feedback will be used to inform future quests, and of course, this is mostly in reference to time gating of certain elements, Shattered Throne of course being the primary one, but also the RNG in obtaining the Rare Black Armory bounty. Bungie aren't saying whether they'll actually, update or change the quest, but they're definitely taking the feedback on board for the future. And in case you missed it in one of my other videos recently, Cosmo did clarify that when it comes to the Last Word quest, once it's out, there won't be any time gates. So if you're capable, you could grind it out in 2 hours, or you could choose to do it over the course of a week. There isn't going to be any immediate rush to do it because there aren't going to be any other lockouts as far as we know. Also, DMG said that for anyone who's had a glitched mysterious box where they can't input the last key, there will be a fix for this at the end of the month. So it will be a little wait if you're experiencing that issue, but also for the end of the month, the Like a Diamond Triumph, the one for the Flawless Scourge of the Past run, will also hopefully be fixed according to DMG. So some players in the moment haven't actually had that Triumph unlock when they've completed the challenge. Also, if you're curious though about over-leveling and power scaling in PvE, Cosmo confirmed that over-leveling caps at 50 power over, so there was wide community speculation that it was actually 20 power levels over, but basically what this means is that your power level is effective at up to 50 points above the power level of a piece of content. So if you're running a 600 power activity, for example, you can scale up to a maximum of 50 power levels above that power level. So if you're running 600 power activity at 650 power, that is the biggest delta advantage that you're going to get from power level for that activity, if that makes sense. So just interesting clarification. But of course, guys, next thing on the list will be the January update. We're going to get a bunch of sandbox stuff, subclass tuning, reworks, buffs to vanilla supers, a few nerfs and other exotic adjustments, such as the Telesto nerf. So I'll keep you guys posted on news centering around that. But for now, guys, I hope you have enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts on any of the stuff we've covered down below, what content you'd love to see in Jokers Wild, any changes that you'd love to see in Gambit, and once again, I'll link all of those feedback threads down below so you can go and leave your thoughts. But if you have enjoyed this video, a rating is very much appreciated. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe to see a lot more Destiny 2 content. For now though, whatever you guys get up to, I appreciate you tuning in, and I will catch you very soon.